The Vulnerable Revolution, Unleashing the Power of Authentic Leadership. Have you ever felt that gnawing fear in the pit of your stomach when you're about to share something deeply personal? That moment when your heart races, your palms sweat, and you wonder if you're making a terrible mistake by opening up. Well, what if I told you that this very feeling, this vulnerability, could be the key to unlocking your greatest potential as a leader, an innovator, and a human being? Today, we're going to embark on a transformative journey, one that challenges everything we thought we knew about strength, leadership, and success. We're going to explore how embracing vulnerability can lead to greater courage, creativity, and fulfillment in our personal and professional lives. And we're going to discover how the power of feminine leadership principles can help create a new world, a world where authenticity and inclusivity are the cornerstones of true success. I'm thrilled to share with you the incredible insights I've gained from my conversation with BerHenda Williams, a visionary leader who's reshaping the landscape of authentic and inclusive leadership. BerHenda's wisdom and experiences have not only transformed my understanding of vulnerability and feminine leadership, but have also ignited a passion in me to spread this message far and wide. Her work is nothing short of revolutionary, challenging age-old paradigms and paving the way for a more empathetic, collaborative, and ultimately more successful approach to leadership in life. Now, I know what you're thinking. Vulnerability in the cutthroat world of business and career advancement, isn't that just asking to be taken advantage of? Trust me, I've been there, I've felt that fear. But what if I told you that vulnerability isn't about exposing your weaknesses, but about having the courage to be your authentic self? Let's start by addressing the elephant in the room. Society has long told us that vulnerability is a weakness, especially in the professional world. We're taught to put on a brave face, to never let them see you sweat. But what if this very mindset is holding us back from reaching our full potential? BerHenda Williams shared a perspective with me that completely shifted my understanding of vulnerability. She explained that vulnerability isn't about being weak. It's about having the strength to be authentic. It's about having the courage to show up as your true self, flaws and all. And here's the kicker. It's this authenticity that builds trust, fosters creativity, and ultimately leads to success. Think about it. When was the last time you truly connected with someone who seemed perfect and invulnerable? Chances are it was when someone showed their human side, when they shared their struggles and fears, that you felt a real connection. This is the power of vulnerability. But don't just take my word for it. Let's look at some real-world examples of how vulnerability and feminine leadership principles are transforming the business world. Take Janice Bryant Howroyd, for instance. Janice's story is one of triumph over adversity, a testament to the power of vulnerability and authentic leadership. Born in 1952 in Tarboro, North Carolina, Janice grew up in a segregated community, facing the harsh realities of racism and poverty from an early age. But rather than let these challenges define her, Janice used them as fuel for her ambition and compassion. In 1978, with just $900 in her pocket, Janice founded the Act Young Group. Today, it's a billion-dollar company, making Janice the first African-American woman to achieve this incredible milestone. But what's truly remarkable is how she achieved this success. Janice faced numerous challenges in her journey, including persistent racism and sexism. But instead of hardening herself and putting up walls, she chose a different path. Janice credits her success to her ability to be vulnerable and open with her team. She emphasizes the importance of building trust and fostering a collaborative work environment. Imagine the courage it took for Janice, as a black woman in a predominantly white, male-dominated business world, to show vulnerability, to admit when she didn't have all the answers, to ask for help when she needed it, to share her fears and dreams with her team. This vulnerability, far from making her weak, became her superpower. By embracing vulnerability, Janice was able to create a company culture built on trust and mutual respect. This allowed her team to be more creative, to take risks, and to innovate. The result? A billion-dollar company that's breaking barriers and inspiring countless black women entrepreneurs. Janice's story teaches us that vulnerability isn't just about personal growth. It's a powerful tool for business success. Her ability to be authentic and open has not only led to her own success, but has created opportunities for thousands of others. She's become a role model for black women entrepreneurs, showing that it's possible to achieve incredible success without compromising your values or hiding your true self. But it's not just in entrepreneurship that we're seeing the power of vulnerability. Let's look at the tech industry, traditionally seen as a bastion of masculine leadership styles. Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, has been a vocal advocate for the importance of vulnerability in leadership. Satya's journey to embracing vulnerability is a powerful one. Born in Hyderabad, India, Satya faced his own set of challenges as he rose through the ranks of the tech world. But it was a personal tragedy, the birth of his son with severe cerebral palsy, that truly transformed his approach to leadership. This experience taught Satya the power of empathy and vulnerability. He realized that true strength doesn't come from having all the answers, but from being open to learning, growing, and connecting with others on a human level. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Satya faced enormous challenges. He had to manage a global workforce and navigate the complexities of remote work. But instead of putting on a brave face and pretending to have all the answers, Satya did something remarkable. He was open and honest with his team, sharing his own fears and concerns about the pandemic. Imagine the impact of a CEO of one of the world's largest tech companies admitting that he was scared, that he was uncertain. This vulnerability, far from undermining his leadership, actually strengthened it. By being open about his own struggles, Satya created a space where his team felt safe to share their own concerns and ideas. This led to greater collaboration, more innovative solutions, and ultimately a stronger, more resilient Microsoft. Satya's leadership style has been credited with transforming Microsoft's culture and driving the company to new heights of success. By embracing vulnerability and empathy, he's shown that it's possible to be both a compassionate leader and a highly effective one. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking, that's all well and good for billion-dollar companies and tech giants. But what about me? I'm just trying to make it in my career. How does vulnerability help me? Well, let me tell you about the groundbreaking research of Brené Brown. Brené is the research professor at the University of Houston, who has spent the last 2 decades studying vulnerability, courage, shame, and empathy. Her work has revolutionized our understanding of these concepts and their impact on our personal and professional lives. Brené's journey to studying vulnerability is a powerful story in itself. As a young researcher, she set out to study connection. What she discovered was that shame, the fear of disconnection, was at the root of so much human suffering. And the antidote to shame? Vulnerability. Brené's research shows that vulnerability is not just about opening up emotionally. It's about having the courage to show up and be seen when there are no guarantees. It's about taking risks, embracing uncertainty, and allowing ourselves to be truly known. This kind of vulnerability, Brené argues, is essential for personal growth and professional success. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we open ourselves up to new experiences, new ideas, and new connections. We become more creative, more innovative, and more resilient. But here's the really exciting part. Brené's research shows that vulnerability is not just beneficial for individuals, it's transformative for organizations. Companies that foster a culture of vulnerability see increased employee engagement, higher levels of creativity and innovation, and stronger, more authentic leadership. Imagine a workplace where people feel safe to share their ideas, even if they're not fully formed, where mistakes are seen as opportunities for learning, not reasons for shame, where leaders are respected not because they're perfect, but because they're authentic. This is the kind of workplace that vulnerability can create. Now, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually put it into practice? How do we embrace vulnerability in a world that often seems to punish it? Well, that's where the power of feminine leadership comes in. And let me be clear. When I say feminine leadership, I'm not talking about gender. I'm talking about a set of leadership principles that have traditionally been associated with feminine traits, but that are beneficial for all leaders, regardless of gender. These principles include empathy, collaboration, intuition, and yes, vulnerability. They're about leading from the heart as well as the head. They're about creating inclusive, supportive environments where everyone feels valued and heard. BerHenda Williams shared with me how embracing these feminine leadership principles can help create a new world, a world where workplaces are not just productive but fulfilling, where leaders don't just drive results but inspire and empower their teams.
Imagine a leader who listens more than they speak, who asks questions instead of always providing answers, who admits when they're wrong and sees it as an opportunity for growth. This is what feminine leadership looks like in action. By embracing feminine leadership principles, we can create more inclusive, empathetic, and collaborative work environments. This leads to greater fulfillment, creativity, and impact in our personal and professional lives. But here's the thing: embracing vulnerability and feminine leadership principles isn't just about feeling good, it's about driving real, tangible results. Studies have shown that companies with more diverse leadership teams are more innovative, more profitable, and better able to navigate complex challenges. So, how do we start embracing vulnerability and feminine leadership principles in our own lives and careers? Well, it starts with self awareness. We need to be honest with ourselves about our strengths and weaknesses, our fears, and our dreams. Practicing vulnerability can lead to greater self awareness and growth. By being open and honest about our strengths and weaknesses, we gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the world. This leads to greater confidence, resilience, and success in our personal and professional lives. But self awareness is just the beginning. The real challenge and the real opportunity comes when we start to bring that vulnerability into our interactions with others. This could mean admitting when we don't have all the answers. It could mean asking for help when we need it. It could mean sharing our fears and concerns with our team. I know this can feel scary. Believe me, I've been there. But remember, vulnerability isn't about exposing yourself to harm. It's about having the courage to be authentic, to show up as your true self. And when you do that, you give others permission to do the same. Now, I want to be clear. Embracing vulnerability doesn't mean oversharing or being emotionally reckless. It's about being authentic and transparent in a way that builds trust and fosters connection. It's about creating a safe space for others to do the same. And here's the really exciting part: as more and more of us embrace vulnerability and feminine leadership principles, we start to create a ripple effect. We start to change not just our own lives and careers, but our organizations, our industries, and ultimately our world. Imagine a world where leaders at all levels, from team leaders to CEOs to world leaders, lead with authenticity, empathy, and vulnerability. A world where we value connection as much as competition, collaboration as much as individual achievement. This is the world that BerHenda Williams envisions. This is the world that leaders like Janice, Bryant, Howroyd, and Satya Nadella are helping to create. And this is the world that each of us can contribute to starting today. So I want to leave you with a challenge, a call to action that I hope will resonate in your hearts and minds long after this talk is over. I challenge you to embrace your vulnerability, to see it not as a weakness, but as your greatest strength, to use it as a tool for connection, for innovation, for leadership. Start small if you need to. Share a fear with a trusted colleague. Admit when you don't know something. Ask for help when you need it. Each of these small acts of vulnerability is a step towards a more authentic, more powerful you. But don't stop there. Look for opportunities to create spaces where others can be vulnerable too. Encourage open dialogue in your teams. Celebrate failures as learning opportunities. Lead by example, showing that it's okay, no, it's valuable to be human, to be imperfect, to be vulnerable. And as you do this, pay attention to what happens. Notice how your relationships deepen, how trust grows, how creativity flourishes, how problems that seemed insurmountable suddenly become solvable when people feel safe to bring their whole selves to the table. Remember, every time you choose vulnerability over pretense, every time you choose authenticity over armor, you're not just changing yourself, you're changing the world around you. You're creating a ripple effect that can transform your workplace, your industry, and beyond. The world is crying out for a new kind of leadership, a leadership that is authentic, empathetic, and inclusive, a leadership that harnesses the power of vulnerability to create connection, drive innovation, and solve our most pressing challenges. You have the power to be that leader. Whether you're leading a team, a company, or simply leading your own life, you have the power to embrace vulnerability and unleash its transformative potential. So go forth from here with courage, have the audacity to be vulnerable, to be authentically, unapologetically you, because the world doesn't need more perfect and vulnerable leaders. It needs more human ones. Embrace your vulnerability, harness its power, and watch as it transforms not just your life, but the world around you. The vulnerable revolution starts with you. Are you ready to lead it? Thank you.